Hey, welcome everyone to I So Appreciate You, an honest, raw, and sometimes funny podcast about work, community, life, and all the other stuff we juggle. Hi, I'm Pahoua.
And I'm Nadege, and we're colleagues at the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation. In addition to that, we're friends. And so when we talk, our conversations can run the gamut. We can start talking about board meetings and governance procedures. We can get into mother-daughter dynamics, and then we can be like, where are we going to dinner tonight?
I prefer that conversation. And so we thought that maybe some of you would like to join us in conversation. So here we are with I So Appreciate You. Welcome back, listeners. Again, I'm Pahoua.
And I'm Nadege.
And this is I So Appreciate You. We have had so much fun this season. I think neither one of us thought that it would maybe be as much fun, and that we would maybe even talk about some of the things that we ended up talking about and being able to reflect on the things that we reflected on through the conversations that we had with the folks here. I'm a little emotional that this is the end of season 1.
Oh, you're being so serious. It's freaking me out. But honestly, I didn't even know that I could get past hearing my own voice in a headset.
Yes. Okay, let's be real.
Yeah.
We were worried about even how do we talk to a microphone, right? There's one underneath our chins right now, and that was weird. Remember the first one? Weird.
Super weird.
We have headphones on. We don't do that. I mean, I suppose through because of COVID and Zoom, people are sometimes wearing headphones, but I haven't. But this whole thing was just foreign to us.
Right. And, even though we were optimistic that our relationship as friends and colleagues would translate into something to listen to,
would I still like
nervous.
you?
Honestly,
would I like you at the end of this?
It was like, is this actually going to work? Is anyone going to listen to it? Like, are our conversations with guests going to go anywhere? And I'm going to do a thing that I almost never do. I'm going to say, we did an awesome job.
Hey, I did not hate it. That's a lot from me.
Hey, that's the thing I usually say. I don't hate it.
I know. We flipped the script on each other. No, I ended up, it's one of these things that you didn't think you're going to do. You end up doing it. And it not only helps you in the moment, right? Like for us, it's carrying out the duties of putting on a podcast, but it has helped me in other aspects of my work and life, right? That my husband listens to this podcast gives us another thing to talk about. He's like, hey, I listened to that one. And I'm like, what'd you think of it? And we end up going off into this conversation that maybe we would have eventually had, but force makes it sound like neither one of us wanted to do it, but it encouraged conversations that I think was really helpful, both again, at home and at work.
Yeah. And it was honestly a personal opportunity to grow. I mean, if you had asked me 2 years ago, would, being a podcaster be something that I would do or be able to say that I could do with some
podcaster.
I know, weird, right? But to your point that it helps in sort of work and personal life, I think sometimes as you grow in your leadership and your work roles, sometimes you wonder, am I going to get to try something truly new?
Yeah.
And this was truly new. And what I will say to the listeners is, if somebody gives you an opportunity to try something truly new, do it.
Do it.
Because I actually don't, that it was great is wonderful, but even if it hadn't been great, we would have learned so much anyway. And so I am so thankful. And I so appreciate that you were willing to do this with me. I was being corny there. I'm sorry. And
we got to give shout outs to our marketing and communications team who said, hey, we've got a great idea. And you and I looked at each other and went, we've never done that. And that they had trust in us. So that was really great to get that kind of support inside.
And so, here we are at this place. We've had so many fantastic guests, really fantastic conversations. And I think this is the time where naturally we would look forward and be like, what's next? What are we going to do after this? Is there more? And I'm going to pause awkwardly here and then look at you, Pahoua, because what is next?
Well, I think that, some of the themes and the conversations that we talked about were along the lines of, the things you and I got to do at work.
Yeah.
And this podcast wouldn't have happened had the world not conspired to kind of put us together in order to do it. And so it is extremely sad for me to know that I won't be here at the St. Paul, Minnesota Foundation to continue what we started. And, you know, to your point of, hey, when you get the opportunity to try something new, you should do it. That's what has led me to make a decision to leave the foundation. And you guys, listeners, this is a dream job. To be able to get to work with colleagues like Nadege, to get to work under the leadership of Dr. Jolly is a dream. But there is something new pulling at me, and I think all of us, having experienced in all the ways that we've experienced the pandemic, we know that healthcare is just something that is ever around us, and yet we know very little about it. And so for me, that is the something new that I wanted to explore. And so I'm excited about this new opportunity at Health Partners, but I'm really sad to leave the foundation. And I think what that brings up for me is, what happens? So to Nadege's point, I'm not gonna get serious. I'm gonna just like be honest and say, what happens when we work with people whom we love, whom we like, whom we respect, and they move on? Because guess what? People move on.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen to all of us. It's gonna happen to us. And it could be us. It could be, you know, you could be the one that is leaving. And how do we stay connected? How does that culture change when we say goodbye to a leader and welcome a new one?
Ooh, you are asking all the questions.
Do we have an article about that? No,
no,
we don't.
We don't. But I think, you know, this is one of those interesting moments where I think when you get the news like this, you get the news that a colleague, a dear colleague, a leader at an organization is moving on to another opportunity. There are about 1 million reactions that go through your mind. And, you know, what I will say for myself, this is really an opportunity to sit in and honor two seemingly conflicting truths. One truth, as your friend, I'm like, awesome. That is amazing. Of course you take that fantastic opportunity. You go, girl, like go out there. Who runs the world? All of those things,
Thank
right?
you. And I have felt that from her.
Right.
I've felt
like
that from
all
you.
of the celebration. And at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do with that? Like, and that was gibberish because that was what my brain was doing on the sort of sitting in the present moment of what do we as an organization do right now in this transition. And I think that a lot of times what happens is people don't honor both of those truths.
True.
And so then they lean into the bitterness of, oh, I can't believe they're leaving.
Or how does this just impact me?
Yeah, they
right?
lean into the selfishness of, you know, what is it going to do for me? Or you lean into the like, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
Like no one else could ever get to fill this opportunity. And, you know, I'll just say candidly, I wish you weren't leaving. But I'm excited about what a new person will bring to this space, to this organization, to, you know, to the foundation, to the community impact team. And it's an opportunity for us to grow, the foundation to grow in a different way, for me to grow in a different way with a new colleague. So there is both, you know, beauty and amazingness in this moment, while there is truly, truly sadness. I mean, it's not like we're going to stop having happy hours or anything.
Maybe more.
Right. But it's just that this way that we have learned to relate to each other, this really easy casualness between colleagues and friend, and in and out within the span of 5 minutes, we can cover the clothes, we can cover the work, we can get back to the work, we talk about the podcast. Yeah, I'm going to miss that because that piece will go away. But the elements that underlie that piece, they're not going anywhere.
No, and I think for someone who is leaving, there's also two truths for me. And I'm glad, it's not like you're giving me permission, but I want to be excited about this new role.
You should be.
By the way, I don't know anything about healthcare, and that's sort of why I'm running into that fire is to know it, right? But I can be excited about that and still be happy that I had this time. right? And it is incredibly sad. And I think that sometimes the only narrative we hear is I'm leaving a terrible place. So much so that I think people assume that's why you're leaving.
Always,
right? What happened over there, right? Why is she leaving, or why are they leaving? But I think that those two truths can stand next to one another. I can love where I work. I can love my team, and I love them. And I can be proud of the work that we've done together and the work that you're going to continue to do at the foundation. Still be excited. And when this happened to me, so when I was running an organization and hired this amazing leader, and she and I mean, there are just people who come into your life who make you work harder and better. And this is what she did for me. And I thought, wow, we are just going to like be awesome for years. And I was not prepared when she sat me down a year after we worked, on this big project together. And she said, hey, I'm getting this incredible opportunity, and I think I'm going to go. And it wasn't about money, because trust me, I would have figured out a way. That's how incredible she was. But she gave me the reasons why.
Yeah.
She gave me the reasons why, and she said, what do you think? And I said, I can't offer you those things. I can see why you want that, and I want that for you, right? Now, listeners, this was after my initial panic of, oh my God, why are you leaving me?
Truths.
I did have that. That truth is very true, and you can definitely hold on to both of those. But I thought, how do we do different here? How do I do different here? And how do we do this differently? And it took us a little bit of time, but I thought, wouldn't it be great? I reached out to her future employer, who I knew, after I got mad at her too for poaching this amazing leader. But I said, hey, imagine you're going to do a press release. Can we do a joint one? And can we model how this is how we embrace leaders who come to us, right? That this transition, while not designed and was not, it wasn't on purpose, how do we just tell a different narrative about, yeah, she's leaving me and I'm proud of her and I'm so glad that she gets to work with you. And that's what we said in the press release. And I don't know that, I can't say whether that press release and those who read it, whether it made a difference, but I saw more applications for her role after she left than I saw the first time when she was hired. And I hope so. I hope that made a little bit of a difference.
It honestly probably did make a difference, because I think that the reality is we all grow and we all evolve. If we stayed in the same place forever, frankly, you and I wouldn't even have been here.
That's right.
And so that's just kind of part of it. Change is inevitable.
Right.
And you can either lean into that change and grow from it and take all the goodness that comes with it, or you can resist it with all your might and fury and create these walls and barriers. And I just think that's so unproductive, because every moment has moments worth holding on to and celebrating. I mean, we've even joked on episodes of this podcast about how, COVID this, COVID that, but it gave people the opportunity to connect with folks in different places. It made things easier that had been previously a challenge. So even in those moments,
it got us to see the inside of a Minnesotan's home.
Right. That's man, that's actually legitimately funny, and I'm not laughing hard enough. But I just think, that's kind of where we are. And so, what I realize is, you will get to do this change, and that will evolve our relationship as friends, because that will become the dominant force in our relationship. And it'll also evolve this podcast and what's in store for us. Y'all, listeners, I don't know yet, but I promise you, we're thinking about it. We're not going anywhere soon.
Well, I'm excited for, hopefully, season 2, because I'd love to be a listener this time.
Ooh, maybe we'll bring you back as a guest.
I wouldn't say no.
Thank you all for listening to us this season in I So Appreciate You. It has been a blast.
And Nadege, sincerely, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you for listening to I So Appreciate You. You can find us on Facebook at I So Appreciate You Podcast, and on Twitter and Instagram at So Appreciate You.
We'd also appreciate you taking a moment to leave us a review. And if you like our show, be sure to follow I So Appreciate You on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to us right now.
Have a question or a topic suggestion? Email us at podcast@spmcf.org. Thank you for listening to I So Appreciate You.